I was at the slide with my daughter when a little boy ran up to me. "Mister," he asked, "can I have your daughter?" Chucking it up to dumb kid talk. I just laughed. "She's my whole world, buddy. Can't just give her away." He looked me dead in the eye. "So what if she died? Would you be sad?" Then I scooped up my daughter, feeling a cold dread crawl up my spine. I'd never seen this kid before. This playground was a community project. I knew pretty much every little brat who came to play here. My gut screamed that this kid was a scout for some scumbag kidnapper. I got my daughter the hell out of there. Back home, I laid down the law. Stay away from that playground for a while. Don't go near that boy. And for fuck's sake, don't take any candy from him or go anywhere with him. My daughter just nodded, her eyes wide. A few days later, my daughter drops a bombshell. She saw the boy leading the daughter of the woman who runs the bakery across the street away somewhere. She thought about following, but she remembered what I said and chickened out. The bakery is run by a single mom named Hannah and her 4-year-old, Katie. She's divorced and everyone in the neighborhood knows she has it tough. So we all try to look out for her. I immediately called Hannah, but the call went straight to voicemail. She must have been out on a cake delivery. About an hour and a half later, Hannah burst into my diner like a goddamn hurricane. Wild-eyed and frantic, she grabbed my daughter by the shoulders. "Where's Katie? Tell me." My daughter was so scared, she could barely speak. I told Hannah to call 911 right away, then went with her to search. But the trail went cold. The second they crossed the main road, the cops were on it fast. Using my description and footage from nearby security cameras, they found the boy that same night. His name was Leo. Leo swore up and down he hadn't taken Katie. His parents backed him up, flying through their teeth that their son had been home all day. The cops showed them the surveillance footage, blowing their bullshit story to pieces. That's when Leo, the little shit, finally mumbled, "I'm not 12 yet, so I don't have to go to jail, right?" Leo LED us to a derelict construction site nearby and pointed to a small freshly dug pit in the ground. "She's in there." The cops dug away the loose dirt and found a styrofoam cooler, kind you get from Amazon deliveries. They pried the lid open. Katie was crammed inside, curled into a ball. Her eyes were wide open, her mouth slightly agape, her face a mask of pure terror. Hannah just fucking broke. She lunged at Leo, trying to tear him apart, but the cops managed to hold her back. The police had Leo recount the whole thing. His clarity, his step-by-step logic sent a fucking icicle through my heart. Leo said he found the pit at the construction site and got the idea to bury something alive in it. First he tried a stray cat, but it scratched its way out, immediately a failure. So Leo switched his target to a kid, but the hole was too small. So the little psychopath tied 2 shoelaces together to measure the pit's dimensions. Whenever he found a potential target, he'd measure them with the shoelace first before trying to snatch them. He also said he only picked little girls. They were easier to control. And he added, their bodies are softer, easier to fold. "Did you kill her first, then put her in?" one of the cops asked. His voice tight, Leo shook his head. "I had her lie down in it herself." He'd set up a sick game. First, he had Katie lie down in a couple of big cardboard boxes and gave her chocolates, making her think it was all for fun. Then he told her to get into the styrofoam cooler he placed in the pit. Katie, trusting him completely, did it without a second thought. Once she was in, I put the wooden board over the top, stacked a few bricks on it, and started burying it. Leo said Katie started struggling, so he jumped on top of the board and stomped on it a few times until she stopped moving. Hannah didn't even make it through the whole story before she collapsed. The cops rushed her to the hospital. I overheard one of the veteran cops muttering, "Jesus fucking Christ." All my years on the force, I've never seen an animal like this. If his parents weren't here, I'd beat the shit out of this little fucker myself. Once word got out about what happened to Katie, the whole neighborhood was up in arms. People kept coming to me asking for Leo's address, wanting to get some payback for Hannah. But the law protects the privacy of juvenile offenders. The cops made it crystal clear. If I leaked any of Leo's personal information, I'd be held liable. A few days later, Anna came to my diner sobbing. The DA was dropping the case. The reason Leo was under 12. No criminal liability. The police had no choice but to close the case according to the law. I was fucking speechless. Leo murdered a child, and he wouldn't even see the inside of a courtroom, let alone a jail cell. What kind of justice is that? The cops said, even if I sue, the prosecutor won't take the case. The most I can do is file a civil suit for damages against his parents. But what amount of money can bring my daughter back? Oh, who can give me justice for her? Hannah cried so hard it looked like her eyes were bleeding. To make matters a million times worse, Leo's parents wouldn't even apologize. They just stopped answering Hannah's calls. Even when the police tried to mediate, they just said they were busy. No time to deal with her. My wife. Her. Heartbreaking for Hannah. Made her some soup. We're all mothers, she said softly. Some things happen, and there's nothing anyone can do. You're still young. You can meet someone. Have another baby. Think of it as Katie coming back to you. Hannah's voice was a raw whisper. Can't get over it. Every time I close my eyes, I hear her crying, telling me she can't rest in peace. My heart feels like it's been stabbed 100 fucking times. We're all parents. We felt her pain in our bones. We convinced her to at least claim Katie's body and arrange the funeral. We could think about lawsuits later. The wake was held in her bakery. All the neighbors came. It was just an endless loop of empty condolences. Hannah cried until she had nothing left, numb to everything. During the gathering, Frank from the barbecue joint said that maybe Hannah should have been more careful. And a bunch of the women fucking eviscerated him. Why don't you try watching a kid for one day, you asshole? You think we don't have to eat or piss big? Tony the butcher chain smoked, his face grim. If this happened to my kid, I got that little bastard myself jail. Time be damned.
It's a damn shame.
A good woman like Hannah doesn't have a man to go to bat for her. Hannah doesn't have much family. So my wife and I helped out where we could. My daughter Lily was playing near the door. I called her over, telling her not to wander off. She just nodded silently. I thought that was weird. Usually she'd argue back. Today she was a perfect little angel. Then she grinned, and my blood ran cold. I saw the chocolate smeared on her teeth. We banned her from sweets because of her cavities. Did Hannah give you that? She shook her head. A boy gave it to me. What boy? The one who took Katie, he said. Katie didn't finish. These wave of pure cold terror washed over me. I immediately handed Lily to my wife and told her, watch her. Don't let her out of your sight for a single fucking second. I got a few guys together and we searched the area, but there was no sign of Leo. The little shit had vanished. The more I thought about it, the more I panicked. If Leo had just grabbed my daughter instead, found another little ditch and buried her. 2. I absolutely could not let that happen. That night, I secretly told Hannah that Leo had approached my daughter. Her eyes blazed with fury. She grabbed my arm, her nails digging in. Next time you tell me sooner, I'll kill him. Myself. I looked at the black and white photo of Katie, her little toothy smile frozen in time. I made a decision. Do you really want revenge? I asked quietly. I have a way, and I can make sure you don't go to jail for it. Hannah didn't hesitate for a second. She agreed. So, I had my daughter play outside like normal, while Hannah and I took turns watching from the shadows, waiting for Leo. We kept this up for almost a month. Finally, I saw him, the sneaky little fuck lurking around the playground again. I called Lily, told her to head home now. Just as I predicted, Leo started following her. I was right behind him in my van on a street with no cameras. I snatched him. I took him to the warehouse behind Hannah's bakery. She was waiting. A photo of Katie on a small table, with a stick of incense burning in front of it. It's okay, sweetie, she whispered to the photo. Mommy's going to help you rest now. Leo was crying and struggling.
Mister, Mom.
I'm just a kid. How can you hurt a kid? The warehouse smelled of stale flour, diesel, and old grease. It was a suffocating smell, the kind that coats the back of your throat. I locked the heavy steel door behind me, the clink echoing in the high rafters. Leo wasn't screaming anymore. He was sitting on a wooden chair, zip-tied by the wrists and ankles. He wasn't crying. He wasn't begging for his mommy. He was just watching us. His eyes were scanning the room, dissecting the environment, looking for angles, sharp edges, exits. It was the coldest thing I'd ever seen. Hannah stood by the table with a photo of Katie. She was trembling, vibrating with a frequency of rage that threatened to shatter her bones. In her hand, she held a heavy rolling pin, solid marble. You said you had a plan, Hannah whispered, her voice sounding like grinding glass. You said I wouldn't go to jail. I do, I said, walking over to Leo. I crouched down, so I was eye level with him. But first, we need to be sure. We need to know what we're dealing with. Leo looked at me. A slow, sickening smirk spread across his face. It wasn't the smile of a child. It was the expression of a tenured professor watching a student fail an exam. Kidnapping is a felony, Leo said. His voice was steady. My dad has a lawyer. A really expensive one. If you let me go now, I might just say I got lost. But if you keep me here... He shrugged. Calculus changes. Calculus. I asked. Risk versus reward. Leo said, bored.
I'm under 12. I'm untouchable.
You too, however, you have assets. A diner. A bakery. A daughter. He looked at me, dead on. Lily, right? Pretty teeth. Shame about the cavities. Hannah let out a choked sob and lunged. I caught her arm, barely holding her back. He's baiting you, Hannah. Don't give him the satisfaction. He killed her, she wept, her strength failing as she sagged against me. He put her in a box and stomped on it. Leo sighed, rolling his eyes. I didn't stomp. I applied pressure. The lid was warping. I had to ensure the seal was tight. If air gets in, the experiment is ruined. It's basic physics. That was the moment the last shred of doubt left my body. There was no scared little boy here. There was just a glitch in the human coding, something wrapped in skin that looked like us but wasn't. The plan, I said, standing up.
My voice was calm now.
The fear was gone, replaced by a icy clarity. Hannah, go to the back storage. Get the large chest freezer. The one you broke down last month. The broken one? Get it. I turned back to Leo. You like boxes, Leo? You like small spaces. For the first time, a flicker of uncertainty crossed his face. What are you doing? My parents will call the cops. The GPS on my phone is currently taped to the underside of a delivery truck headed for the interstate. I cut him off. I tossed it an hour ago. By now, you're doing 70 miles an hour toward the state line. Leo's eyes narrowed. The logic was sound. He respected that. You can't kill me, he said, but his voice pitched up an octave. I'm a minor. We aren't the law, Leo, I said softly. We're the consequences. We didn't use a styrofoam cooler. That would have been too quick. The old chest freezer was airtight when latched. It was white, rusted at the bottom, and smelled of freon and decay. We dragged it into the center of the room. Hannah, I said, this is the part where you have to be strong. Not for you. For Katie. Hannah wiped her face. Her eyes were dry now, hard as flint. She walked over to the freezer and opened the lid. It creaked like a coffin door.
Get in, she said.
Leo laughed nervously.
No.
No way. I grabbed him by the collar and the belt. He thrashed surprisingly strong, wiry like a rat, but I was a grown man fueled by the terror of what he'd almost done to my Lily. I lifted him and dropped him into the chest. He landed in a heap. Immediately, he scrambled up, trying to grab the edge. Stop.
Wait.
I'll tell you where I hid the others. Everything in the room stopped. The silence was deafening. Hannah froze, her hand on the lid. Others? Leo realized his mistake instantly. He clamped his mouth shut, his face draining of color. He had played a card he was saving for a plea deal, but he played it in a room with no lawyers. What others, Leo? I asked, leaning over the edge. He started hyperventilating. I practiced. Before the cats, there was a toddler. In the park. 2 years ago. Everyone thought he drowned in the creek. Hannah looked at me. We both remembered. The Miller boy. The police ruled it an accident, said he slipped on the mud. Where is he? Hannah hissed. Under the sandbox, Leo whispered, tears finally leaking out, not from guilt, but from self-preservation. I dug deep. Nobody looks under the sand. Hannah stared at him for a long 10 seconds. She looked at the monster who treated lives like biology class dissections. You're right, she said softly. Nobody looks under the sand. She slammed the lid down. Leo's scream was cut off instantly by the heavy seal. I threw the latch. He has air for maybe 3 hours in there, I said, checking my watch. Maybe 4 if he doesn't panic. He's going to panic. Hannah put her hand on the cold, white metal. She didn't move. She just stood there, feeling the vibrations of his fists pounding against the inside. Thump, thump, thump. Is this it? She asked. Is this the plan? No, I said. This is just the interrogation. The plan is how we make sure he never comes back. I went to the corner of the warehouse where Hannah kept the construction materials for the bakery renovation. Bags of quick-dry cement. We aren't going to bury him, Hannah. He is the burial. We drove the van to the derelict construction site, the same one where he had left Katie. It was poetic, but it was also practical. The developers had poured the main foundation for the new luxury condos yesterday, but the pillars were being poured tomorrow. There were pre-dug shafts for the support columns, 10 feet deep. Rebar cages already lowered in. Leo was unconscious when we opened the freezer. The lack of oxygen had knocked him out, but he was still breathing shallowly. He's small, Hannah noted, her voice detached. He fits. We wrapped him in a heavy tarp, weighing it down with chains. We didn't want him floating up when the wet concrete hit. My daughter, I said, as we stood at the edge of the dark pit. He gave her chocolate. He measured her with his eyes. Hannah touched my shoulder. He folded Katie, she whispered. He broke her to make her fit. We lowered the bundle into the shaft. It slid down the side of the rebar cage and settled at the bottom, invisible in the gloom. The cement trucks arrive at 6 a.m., I told her. By 7 a.m., he'll be encased in 3 tons of concrete. By noon, he'll be part of the building's support structure. He'll never be found. Not in 10 years, not in 100. Hannah stared into the hole. She reached into her pocket and pulled out Katie's favorite hair clip, a little plastic butterfly. She dropped it into the hole. "Rest now, baby," she said. We left the site. We burned the tarp, the zip ties, and the gloves in the diner's incinerator. We scrubbed the van with bleach. Then we waited. The next morning, the neighborhood exploded. Leo's mother was on the news, sobbing without tears. "My baby boy. He's just a child. He ran away because everyone was being so mean to him." The police swarmed. They came to my diner. They went to the bakery. Detective Miller, the veteran who had called Leo an animal, sat in my booth. He looked tired. He ordered a black coffee. "Leo's missing," Miller said, watching me over the rim of the cup. "I heard," I said, wiping down the counter.
Shame.
"Hope he turns up." "His phone pinged off a tower near the interstate about 3 hours after he was last seen," Miller said. "Truck stop. Looks like he hitched a ride." "Smart kid," I said. "Resourceful." Miller paused. He looked at me, then at the picture of Lily I had taped to the cash register. He looked at Hannah, who was working the dough in the kitchen, her face pale but composed. "You know," Miller said slowly, "statistically, runaways like him, the ones with his condition, they don't usually last long on the road. They pick the wrong fight. They meet someone bigger, meaner. It's a dangerous world, detective." Miller finished his coffee. He stood up and put a $5 bill on the table. "His parents are making a lot of noise, demanding we search every house, every basement." "Let them search," I said. I got nothing to hide. Miller nodded. "We checked the bakery this morning. Freezer was empty. Oven was cold." He leaned in close. "If I find out you hurt that kid, I have to arrest you. You know that." "I know." "But," Miller adjusted his hat, "if he just ran away, well, we can't search the whole world, can we? And honestly, the paperwork on a runaway is a hell of a lot easier than the paperwork on a serial killer in the making." He walked to the door. "Keep your daughter close, Jack." "Always do." 3 months later, the construction on the new condos was moving fast. The skeleton of the building was up. The pillar, column 4B, was located in what would be the underground parking garage. Leo's parents had started a GoFundMe to find their son. It raised about $200. The neighborhood hadn't forgotten. When Leo's dad tried to come into Tony's butcher shop, Tony chased him out with a cleaver. They moved away a week later.
Hannah was different now.
She didn't smile much, but she wasn't a ghost anymore. She had started a self-defense class for the neighborhood kids on weekends. She taught them how to scream, how to bite, how to go for the eyes. One rainy Tuesday, I found her standing by the construction fence, looking through the mesh at the rising building. I stood beside her. The rain patted against our umbrellas. "Do you think about it?" she asked. "Every day," I said. "Do you feel guilty?" I looked at my phone. My wife had sent a video of Lily dancing in the living room, safe, warm, and alive. "No," I said. "I don't." Hannah nodded. "He said there were others. The Miller boy." "I know." "I went to the park last night," she said quietly. "With a shovel. Under the sandbox." My blood ran cold. "Hannah." "He was there," she whispered. "Just bones and a little toy truck." I called it in anonymously. Gave the Miller some peace. She turned to me, her eyes clear. "We didn't kill a child, Jack. We killed a cancer." We walked back to the diner together. The rain washed the streets clean. Across the street, the concrete of column 4B was setting harder with every passing day, holding up the weight of the world, keeping it secret in the dark, forever.